Hey everyone, it's Brandin, and I'm here at the 2024 Colorado Guitar Show and Luthier Expo. And well, just beyond that, there's a lot of stuff going on here today at the convention center. So we're kind of mainly sticking towards just guitar vendors from around the state of Colorado. Most of them are from around Metro Denver. We have a few from more far-flung parts of the state. I'm mostly looking to try and find maybe some weird oddities that maybe people have brought along, or anything just cool and interesting out of the ordinary that anyone else has. So let's jump in and let's go. Hey everybody, so this is the first vendor booth that was able to reach out to me in advance and let me know, hey, definitely Brandin, come up and talk to us. We'd love to talk to you, man. I have with me here...
I'm Geoff Baker with Haley Guitars out of Peyton, Colorado.
Cool. Geoff, what brings you here, and what sort of cool stuff have you got at the booth today?
Well, what brings us here really, I mean, it's guitars. Who doesn't love guitars, right? We've been building guitars, lots of awesome guitars here. One of the things I want to show you though really quick, hang on.
Oh, you know, if you know my YouTube channel, you know I have been invested in one of these, so.
Right on, this is a 3-string cigar box guitar, super fun to play, sounds really good too, and you don't see a whole lot of these out here right now.
No, yeah, so I did a whole adventure a few weeks ago of building my own one of these.
Oh, awesome.
Where did you get the box from? Because I've been looking at doing a second one, and I wanted to buy one a box local here in Denver.
Well, I can't say in Denver for sure. This one came from a cigar shop in the Colorado Springs area.
Oh, gotcha.
A lot of times you can go in there and they'll sell them or give them to you. You know, pretty inexpensive, and they make cool instruments.
Where did you get all the parts for doing this one, just if I might ask?
A lot of the supplies for this one, like the bridge and the pickup, come from a place called CV Guitars.
There we go, yeah.
Their supplier, you heard
That's what I was
yeah,
thinking. Yeah. No, that's cool.
The fret wire and things are just standard guitar parts, but some of the specialized stuff, that's where I get them from.
How long did it take you to put that together?
Probably, I don't know, I probably spent a week or so on it. I've got a whole video of building this one on my YouTube channel too.
What is your YouTube channel again, Geoff? I've seen it before already, but what is your YouTube channel for people to come check that out?
You can just look up Home Built Workshop or Home Built Shop on YouTube. Also, Haley Guitars, I have a lot of sound demos on there. You can hear how different things sound.
Well, check out Geoff on YouTube, everybody. Thanks a ton for getting back to me and saying,
right
come chat.
Thanks
but
a lot,
no, that's also very beautiful as well.
You can't, I mean, it's too.
Oh yeah, I'll give that a go here in a second. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. All right, everybody, on this next vendor that we've got here today, this is a place that I have gone to many times before, at least in the Aurora side of Metro Denver. I have with me here
Jason Arnold,
representing
the Music Go Round in Littleton, Colorado.
Gotcha. Jason, what sorts of interesting things have you guys brought to the table today from Music Go Round? Again, you guys specialize more in the kind of people bringing in used gear. I've seen lots of very cool miscellaneous things come through Music Go Round over the years. Probably one of the more unique places I've seen.
Today we're actually here in cooperation with the Music Go Round in Aurora, Colorado as well. And they brought 4 or 5 instruments, and we've brought 4 or 5. Got some fascinating stuff from Gibson, Fender, and other companies. 56 Les Paul Jr., 1958 Fender Deluxe amp, and then down here we have a 1916 Gibson L4.
Wow.
A double neck Dan Electro. Yeah, just some crazy, cool old stuff.
Any one of those guitars you want to grab off real quick and bring it up on camera?
So this is a late 70s Les Paul recording edition. It's kind of made famous by a guitar player from Chicago. Yeah, really fascinating. We kind of refinished it up. Didn't paint or do anything like that, but cleaned it up, set it up, made sure all the electronics were working. You know, our model in our store is we buy quality used gear, and so we each store is kind of outfitted with tons of guitars and amps, and not just vintage stuff. We sell a lot of fairly new things and inexpensive guitars and amps, keyboards, drums, all that kind of stuff.
I gotta say, what's going on all with the electronics on this? Because that's pretty. I see there's 2 outs on there. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it has a stereo output on it actually as well. So really unique for Gibson, especially in the Les Paul and these pickups. You only see those really in this this model. So although I'm not a total expert in this guitar, we have so many different instruments. You know, we can chat about it a little bit and show it off to your cameras at least.
Yeah, cool. Well, all right. Jason, thank you so much for taking the time here today. I'm definitely going to get some B-roll here of some of the stuff that both music go-rounds have brought today. And you'll see that overlaid as we're talking here. So thank you again, Jason.
Awesome, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, everybody, for the next vendor I'm talking here today, I have with me
Brandin Stroy of Talon Guitars.
Oh, hey, look at Brandin and Brandin here together. Yes. Brandin, whereabouts are you based out of with Talon Guitars?
Talon Guitars is based out of Colorado Springs.
Oh, hey, I grew up in the Springs, so even better.
Nice.
What kind of stuff do you? You've got some very unique pieces going on back here. What is there something kind of like central? I don't know, motif or kind of design philosophy you follow with your instruments?
Great question. Design philosophy. I'll say this. My education background is architecture, and so I've taken some of those elements and incorporated it into my guitar designs. However, this design here is actually a homage to a company called Callow Hill Guitars, and there was a gentleman named Tim who ran this company, and so this model here is called the TC. This is the Model TC, and it's named after him because he was somebody who I idolized and also knew, you know, as in my career as a builder, as well as, you know, friending him as well. And so he passed away in 2016, and so this is a tribute to Tim.
I want to say, does it kind of have that, I know I've seen those like guitars where you have the wood and then you kind of bind it with epoxy. It's got that kind of, it's not that, but it looks similar.
Yeah, the top on this guy, it has a resin and burl combination, and so I call it a hybrid top.
I have to ask, there's one also, I don't think it's going to be on camera here, if you wouldn't mind bringing it up. This one right here, I'm kind of just fascinated by this because it's just a very atypical look. What's going on with this one?
Well, in my building course direction, I've always been interested in archtop guitars, as far as like the archtop guitar itself. And I'm like, okay, how can I apply some of those principles to bass? And this is what I've come up with so far. This right here is a prototype. This is like fresh off of my bench.
Oh, wow.
I strung it up yesterday to even see if it would work. So I brought it today to get some feedback from players, to give me some feedback as to what they like, what they don't like from a player's standpoint. I'm a player as well, but I'm not every player, and so I want to be able to gain some feedback from other people who actually play bass and who would be interested in something like this.
Gotcha. I see you've got like a somewhat of a hollowed out cavity here, or is there anything, is that just hollowed out itself, or are there any controls in there?
So there aren't any controls in here. However, you can see some of the structural parts that are going on inside the cavity in here. So you can see all the structural bridges and everything. It is hollow from the sides. You don't have sides bent around like a normal acoustic or an archtop.
Gotcha. Is there anything else that anyone should know about Talon Guitars and the very interesting stuff that you're putting on here?
This is probably the most unique thing that I've got going on right now. But I do have some other ideas for some future models as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, Brandin, thank you so much for taking the time to talk, man. You've got some really cool stuff going on, man, and this is kind of very cool eye candy to say for guitars and the like, but check out Talon Guitars, everybody. So,
Thank you.
I'm really surprised at how lightweight it feels. This is probably like the lightest body bass I've ever held, and that's just...
It's extremely light. I'd probably
that's-
say it's around the 3 to 4 pounds.
Wow, okay, yeah. This would be like really easy to move around on stage with, so... Do you have any other particular plans with this particular design? Painting, anything like that? Or?
So I'm toying around with the idea of of making this model into 2 different forms. One that's a light form, and then one that's a dark. And what I mean by that is the wood selection.
Gotcha.
So if the top is light, the back would be dark, or vice versa.
Gotcha.
To kind of do this kind of yin and yang type kind of look and feel.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Again,
Well, I
thank you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you so
Thanks,
much.
Brandin.
Despite the fact that I play a lot of, very heavy metal music with 8-9 string guitars on my YouTube channel, I'm very much a fan of mandolins as well, and so it just happened to be that the next vendor I have bumped into here today is...
My name's Geoff Burghardt. I build I mandolins.
And Geoff, where's your shop located here?
Right here in Denver, on the east side of town.
Nice. Well, what sort of interesting things do you got going on with your particular mandolins?
So these are all hand built by me from scratch. So I experiment with different woods, and I've gained some familiarity with, like, this one is maple back and sides. This one's mahogany back and sides. They both have red spruce. And I build F styles, I build A styles, and this is an octave mandolin that's based on a guitar body that I designed myself.
I haven't gotten too much into octave mandolins quite yet. It's been kind of an concept I've been interested in, not just or kind of like that in Irish bouzoukis. Would you say that this could function the same way as a bouzouki?
Yeah, they're very, very similar. I think usually the difference, bouzouki's tend to have a longer scale length, and sometimes they do different tuning things, like with octaves instead of unison. But I think the rules for bouzouki are pretty wide open. And the rules for octave mandolin are pretty wide open too.
That's a great thing about stringed instruments. I think it always just, for me, like stringed instruments, it's always like, it does come down to scale length, because then it's like, what can you get away with tuning to based on that?
Yeah, so my octave scale length is 21.5 inches. My mandolin scale length is 14.
Gotcha. Do you have, or do you kind of, I see these are these all just acoustic models?
What? Yes.
Gotcha. Do you do
electrics? I don't. It's not a direction I want to pursue. But if someone has an electric idea that's interesting to me, I'll look into it for sure.
Nice. Do you have any other cool projects maybe that you're working on outside of what we've got here on the show floor today?
Yeah, so what I've been doing the last couple years is a lot of research on the ways that these produce tone. So I'm looking at deflection, like how much they move with tension. I'm looking at thicknesses, and I'm looking at resonances. So I have graphs and all kind of stuff that's helping me determine when the top is doing this, the back is doing that, the neck is doing this, and then you get this kind of a sound. So my most recent work has gotten very much more focused and confined to a particular style, and that's a result of this research and something I'm going to keep doing a lot of.
Nice. Have you ever, are these like custom builds that people order in for say, something they want?
Yeah, so up to now it's all been custom. And going forward, I'm going to be going into a standard model kind of thing. So like these would be an F3, this is an A2, this octave would be an octave 2 for the styles and models.
Gotcha. What? Since you're in the business of doing customs, what's the craziest thing maybe someone's come to you with saying they want to come up with?
So, 2 stories depending on how much time you have. One, there's a walnut tree somewhere in Alabama or North Carolina. His family grew up laying on the walnut tree. It got taken down in the 90s. They saved the wood, and one of the brothers brought a chunk of it to me to build a mandolin for his brother. His brother sent enough wood that I could build 2 mandolins, so I built one for each brother.
Oh.
And then a year later, the first brother wanted one for each of his kids to pass down, so he ordered another one from me, sent me more wood. So that's really cool. Another one is a guy from India. Not from India. I'm sorry. India is part of his life story, so he had me inlay coins from India into the headstock of his mandolin. There was also gold flakes from Wyoming that we inlaid into the top of the wood here. I used warthog tusk for the truss rod cover, and his wife, who had passed away, we used beads from her necklace for the dots on the inlay on the fretboard. So we basically put his whole life into one instrument.
Wow.
It's really cool.
That's, you can't get that out of, a production model, so. Well, Geoff, no, these are all very beautiful instruments. Thank you for taking the time to show these.
Appreciate it. Nice meeting you.
Cool. All right, everybody, the next vendor I'm talking to, when I mentioned at the start of the video that I wanted to look at some really crazy and zany things, I think this particular vendor has taken the cake on that. I will do a slow pan through of all the stuff that they've got here. There's just so much that they've got across 2 tables that's just really cool instruments to see. And I have with me here
Ron Southworth from Boulder, also known as Guitars by Lex. Couldn't pass up the pun of Lex Luthier. And since many of my guitars are theme-based, I had to go with it.
Now, again, as I do the slow pan here, and I'll kind of come back and show these again, because, again, there's a lot. Ron, you've got some really, I think, the most unique things I think I've seen here today. Are these all like custom builds?
These are all hand-built by myself, from scratch, essentially. Usually takes me about a month and a half, 2 months per guitar. They're all things that I grew up with and loved as a kid and as an adult, whether it's Star Wars, Peanuts, the Beatles, Yellow Submarine, favorite bands. It's like, how can I make a guitar out of something that has been a passion to me?
Yeah, I just have to ask, because this is just, I think of, guitar design and just kind of some of the typical things that we see day to day with all these designs. What kind of is your, or what, I guess I'm just so awestruck at this, at your booth here. What's kind of been your, again, noting that you base a lot of these on stuff that you grew up with, is there a particular design philosophy that you also follow for, say, making stuff or making guitars like these?
Lifelong artist and woodworker, and I always approach each one from the aesthetic side. That I can make them functional after, as part of it, is a bonus. So a lot of different things, the aircraft, the dragster, naturally sort of lend themselves to the design of, or incorporating into a guitar. Some of the challenges are like, okay, how am I going to make this idea into a guitar? Comes from anywhere. But the same kind of thing is, a lot of the guitars that you see available all start looking the same to me. It's, I want to make something that's different, and that may be taken to an extreme sometimes.
I'll put the one I'll talk about here on camera. Were any of the ones that you got here at your table particularly challenging to build?
The X-Wing was probably the most involved, and every one that I make, I learn something new, and hopefully they get a little bit better and a little bit easier, but each one presents unique challenges. The Rush guitar with 420 dice, inlaying those all one at a time, that was a challenge.
How long, I gotta ask, if it takes you about a month or month and a half or so to make these guitars, how long have you been building?
I started about 10 years ago, and
only 10.
And when it really took off when the pandemic hit. And if somebody asked me, what did you do during the pandemic?
Make a bunch of crazy guitars. Well, again, I'll next shot here, I'll grab one of these. I don't know which one I'll be grabbing to sit down and tinker with here in a second. But again, you'll get some cool. I'll try to go through and get these all individually as well, because Ron has blown it out of the water for just very unique guitars today. So Ron, thank you so much for the time on this.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, everybody, so you know that even as I play all the different instruments that I do, bass guitar is at the core of my music identity, and thankfully we have a strictly bass vendor here. I'm here with...
Offbeat Guitars.
Gotcha. And your name as well.
Oh, I'm Pam. This is my husband, Micah.
Gotcha. What are your instruments kind of like all custom builds, anything of that nature?
No, not really. They're what we call small batch runs. So we'll try to do like 4 of them at a time. There'll be different colors, maybe a couple different pickup configurations. But that allows us to keep our price down and, you know, be able to get instruments in the hands of more people.
Is there any production philosophy that you have with how you create your instruments?
Try not to screw up too much. No, my background way before this was in cabinets, and at some point I was in charge of coming up with all the production systems that we use there. So I'm kind of copying things from what I can remember 25 years ago.
So what I'm going to say, Micah is a lifelong bass player and an artist also. And about 12 or 13 years ago, he had to have shoulder surgery because of the weight of bass playing. And so we try to make, we kind of focus on the medium scale and short scale basses.
Oh, okay.
So they're lighter weight, like this, probably about 7 pounds.
Yes, 6.95.
Yeah, so that's a big part of what we're doing. We also make the full scale ones, but a lot of it is trying to cater to so that you can play it for your whole life long.
We get a lot of older musicians that are still out gigging, but you know, they got a bad neck, they got a bad shoulder, they got bad backs, and they don't want, you know, a 9-pound jazz bass hanging off their shoulder. So this has been, you know, very helpful for all those people.
Right.
What's I'm curious here. What's going on with the pickup configuration that you've got on there?
So the pickups here are Fralin split blade Strat pickups, and we've figured out the voicings for each of them so they are balanced and sound like a bass pickup. They wind up sounding like a jazz bass with a very smooth attack because there's no pull pieces sticking up. So when you come across, it's. He just told me last month when I talked to him on the phone that he's getting ready to do these in 5-string widths.
Oh, cool.
So we'll be able to do that. And we also offer this one with just one pickup. So this was kind of one of my basses that got me into short scale. Was a vintage Fender Music Master that had a single guitar pickup, kind of where I got, you know, let's try that and see how this sounds.
Okay. No, I personally have somewhat been in the market for short scales for some time.
Well,
just because.
Let me tell you.
Yeah, no, I just. It's been a little bit of a fascination of mine. Do you listen to? You ever heard of Royal Blood?
No.
They're a rock group from the UK. They have a really kind of cool thing going on where it's just 2 guys. It's a drummer and then a vocalist and bassist. And the bassist guy, or this bassist vocalist, he does all these crazy effects to kind of duplicate his sound into having like a guitar rig and a bass rig. And so, one of the things that he does is he actually takes a short scale bass and tunes it up to F sharp. And that's kind of why I've been interested in it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's that. That's my interest in short scales.
Try one out for us?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Is there anything else before we go and I do a little demo here? Anything else you'd like to tell or say about Offbeat Guitars, what you do and who you are, and anything cool like that?
We're trying to be a little bit different. That's part of our model, is that we're just a little different. It's just the 2 of us. Micah makes them and I promote them. And so we're small.
Offbeatguitars.com.
Yeah, offbeatguitars.com. Find us on Facebook, Instagram. We are trying to make this our main source of income, so we're like all in. This is what we do.
Good deal.
Yeah.
All right, let's sit down, and I'm gonna take a spin on one of these offbeat basses.
Awesome.
Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this look at the 2024 Colorado Guitar Show and Luthier Expo. I want to extend a huge thank you again to all the vendors that I featured in this video, and also took the time to talk on video about some of the stuff that they were working with and what they brought to the expo. It was really cool to see all the instruments that they brought to the floor, and more so for me, hearing about their different design philosophies of how they go about creating what they do. Again, as I've already overlaid their information on screen, if you are interested in checking out the work of any of the vendors that I featured in this video, I will have links in the description of this video easily where you can find them. I also want to extend a thank you to Mr. Dwayne Everett and the organizing staff for the Colorado Guitar Show and Expo, as they put in a lot of work year in and year out to make this a very fun place to come to every year. However, we're not quite done, as we have one more thing to cover. A truly very large thing to cover. I think this also takes the record now for the instrument in my studio with the most strings on it. Unfortunately, by the time that we saw this particular instrument, I had already packed up all my camera gear, and we were heading out of the expo, and we happened by the table and booth of one Antonio Suarez out of Longmont, and he had this. This is a Chinese instrument called a You know what? I'm going to consult an expert for this one.
It's Guzheng, so gu with kind of a down and up tone. Zheng is flat. Guzheng, Guzheng, Guzheng.
And this was basically our prize acquisition out of the Guitar Expo. This is a 21-string Chinese instrument that unfortunately there's like these little risers that it's supposed to have that you see on the strings on this wood block here. We just kind of went out on a whim and bought this. Antonio was helping a friend they had a relative that had unfortunately passed away, and they were selling music gear, and this was among the things that they had. And I think the real kicker of this is an instrument that usually retails somewhere in the ballpark of $400 to $500 new. We got this for $75, and it isn't, other than having those little risers that actually make it playable, it's in great condition. Unfortunately, I know nothing about this instrument other than seeing some really cool YouTube videos about it. If you've ever seen Rob Scallon, he had a guest on one time that played an instrument similar to this. He had someone play the Japanese koto. This is in a similar vein to the koto, but not quite. I don't know maybe the specifics of where it may be different, but it's very interesting nonetheless. So to end the video, I'm kind of putting out another all call for anyone particularly in the Metro Denver area. If you know anything about this instrument, or know of anyone who knows anything about this instrument, please, I would absolutely love to get in touch with you. This is an instrument that deserves its own video and profile on. Even if I can't play it myself, I would love to welcome someone who knows about it and knows how to work this instrument and make it sound very beautiful. And I think that would be an amazing video. So if anyone knows, and I'll probably put out a little short about this too, please get in touch with me, because this deserves to be played, and I would hate to see it just, I mean, it is going to be an art piece in our home, but I would hate to see it just be an art piece in our home. And so concludes my adventure at the 2024 Colorado Guitar Show and Luthier Expo. I hope to do this again next year. I have gone to past iterations of this expo before. This was just the first one that I thought to film, because I personally have not gone to a NAMM conference yet. So I thought this would be the coolest thing to do in place of that. But nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed this video and the look at the many cool instruments that were covered in this video, not just this one. But I will look forward to seeing you in the next video, and hopefully we can see this come to life sooner than later.